audience and the panel to speak on what they feel about reparation. Because reparation has come up in our community over the years since we left, Lincoln gave us freedom, they say, but they need to pay us. Like Queen Mother say, keep on until we win. Somebody got to pay. So this discussion today will be about reparation. Marcus, I'm glad he came because last week I attended his workshop, and Mark has you. Mark, they meet on Sunday at the Whitehall Library. I didn't get the time though.
About 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. So he came here so we can continue this discussion tomorrow. Those who would like at 3 o'clock at the Whitehall Library. Emily also, she's the teacher. She always has something for the children. So she brought some bookmarks and coloring that the children can enjoy. Also, I'm going to introduce Phyllis, Elder Phyllis, and she's going to talk about Queen Mother Moore before we get into our reparation, so that those who are not familiar with Queen Mother Moore should do a little bio on Elder Phyllis.
You guys mind if I stay seated so I can hold her? I'll try to talk loud.
Okay.
Queen Mother Moore argued that reparations are the most basic question before us, and that it was the crux of the problem of race relations in America. While she was serious about repayment for the atrocities of slavery and Jim Crow, Moore's larger point was about the benefits of reparations, activism, and reparations as a social movement. No one has done more to integrate claims for reparations for African Americans into black activism than Queen Mother Moore. She was an activist for 70 years. She dedicated the majority of her career for fighting for reparations. She argued that to promote reparations was to adopt a political stance that claimed that the Middle Passage, slavery, and Jim Crow systematically destroyed the culture, heritage, and rights of Africans and their descendants, and that these atrocities could only be remedied through extensive economic restitution distributed by the way of grassroots networks. Though often overlooked, foregrounds the critical role black women played in foregoing real and imagined communities through calls for repayment. Moore's upbringing primed her to be a reparations advocate. She spent her girlhood in New Iberia and New Orleans, places known for a precarious balance of racial violence and defiant black communities. Here she would have heard of Callie House, who was the founder of the early reparations. Who was the founder of the early reparations movement through her organization, the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty and Pension Association, and organized the formerly enslaved people across the south of Louisiana. She was also a stronghold for Marcus Garvey's UNIA. As a Garveyite, Moore learned how to incorporate demands for repayment into her activism, including Garvey's approach of demanding that colonial powers hand back the land that they had stolen from African people. Inspired by leaders like Marcus, Moore looked for opportunities to organize her community when she migrated to Harlem in the early 1920s. When the UNIA dissipated, she joined the Communist Party and furthered her analysis of race, class, gender, and reparations. The party connected Moore with other organizations that advocated for government intervention and at times restitution. In the 1950s, she was a member of Sojourners for Truth and Justice and participated in the group's appeal for government intervention and restitution for women such as Rosalie Ingram, a black woman accused of killing her white male attacker. Moore was also a member of the Civil Rights Congress. In 1951, Chairman William Patterson submitted a petition to the United Nations called We Change Genocide, which detailed the litany of human rights abuses black Americans endured and that demanded international intervention. Through these collectives, Moore learned how to systematically document historical and contemporary racial violence and appeal to international bodies for redress. In the 1960s, Moore became a reparations leader. He returned to New Orleans and founded the Universal Association of Ethiopian Women, UAEW. This group led poor and working class black women in petitioning the state to reinstate their welfare benefits as a form of reparations, explaining that their need for welfare sometimes stemmed from trying to feed children who belonged to white men, and black mothers dared not name the fathers for fear of reprisal. The UAE leader argued that welfare was not a handout, but a form of restitution for white men's past and present institutionalized sexual violence. The UAEW members' efforts to petition the state for redress caused them to explore the idea of restoration. The group also began a campaign to encourage black Americans to file a formal reparations claim with the U.S. government in 1963 in honor of the centennial anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. Moore found support for this idea with members of the National Emancipation Proclamation Centennial Observance Committee. At the organization's first and only conference in Philadelphia in October 1962, Moore called on her audience to demand for reparations for the injuries inflicted upon their nation by the dominant white nation. At Moore's behest, conference attendees drafted a resolution on reparations in which participants argued that the United States government owed present-day black Americans restitution. They argued that the government should pay adequate reparations due to all black Americans with interest from 1865 to the present day. After the conference, Moore traveled the country to garner support for their reparations claims. She gained the most traction in Southern California with a group of activists that included moguls Sanford and Patricia Alexander. The Alexanders used their newspaper, the Herald-Dispatch, to publicize the events of that conference. With the help of the Reparations Committee, Moore also published her most extensive analysis and rationale for repayment. Why reparations? Reparations is a battle cry for the economic and social freedom of more than 25 million descendants of American slaves. In Why Reparations, Moore defined reparations, established a historical basis for restitution, and laid out her program for payment distribution. For the Louisiana-born activists, reparations was a means for amends or compensation for the loss or damage of African-American lives and labor. Moore claimed that her call for money damages for the loss of their ancestors' fair share of property, which accrued by reason of their skill and labor, was not without apt precedent in the field of law and nation. She cited payments from West Germany and Finland, as well as the United States compensation of Japanese Americans as evidence that reparations were a standard practice. Queen Mother Moore stated, "Ever since 1950, I've been on the trail for reparations. They owe us more than they could ever pay. They stole our language, they stole our culture, they stole us from our mothers and fathers, and took our names away from us. They worked us free of charge 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Under the last census, we lost over 1,000 million lives in the traffic of slavery. Today, we are celebrating Queen Mother Moore and African women. As women, we must continue to acknowledge, celebrate, and educate the work that our female ancestors have done, as we are truly standing on their shoulders. Black women have been at the center of the push for reparations for more than a century. Excluding them from reparations debates binds us to the multifaceted modern movement. It also runs the risk of omitting some of the most generative and inventive reparations proposals developed today. One of her quotes was, "Our purpose in life is to leave a legacy for our children and our children's children. For this reason, we must correct history that at present denies our humanity and self-respect."
I would like to ask you, they not only stole our dignity and stole from our land, but they also stole our religion.
Our what?
Our religion, our believe so.
Thank you, Elder Phyllis. I would like to introduce Mark. He's with the American Descendants of Slavery.
Okay. Thank you so much. Like I said earlier, thank you. Like I said earlier, I'm a reparations advocate. And I think what the elder just said about Queen Mother Moore is imperative to the actual discussion that we're having about reparations right now. Is that this fight has been going on for a while, and we have gotten no traction from the American government. It seems that there's a lot of people that are complicit in African Americans just being the bottom caste, and they continue on to oppress us. And I don't think that a lot of people still understand that they still are oppressed. If you see how our people are still struggling, you look at our communities, the education systems, everything that involves black life seems to be at the bottom. And what I advocate for is pretty much what Queen Mother Moore was advocating for. It's time to cut a check, and with interest.
Right.
You know, the last figures said it was 17.1 trillion. Well,
I like that.
You like that? I like that number as well.
We take payments too.
Yeah,
we got to pay it all at once.
Yeah, they don't have to do it all at once, but they have to do something. And if we don't stand up and start demanding this stuff, I fear that by all accounts, the black folks, our worth and our income is going to be at zero, and we're really going to be in a struggle. So that's kind of the reason why I'm fighting for this. It's not even about me. It's about the generations after us, the generation to generation. And now is the time, because it's time for them to cut a check. It's time for the government to do what they were supposed to do and make us whole. And I don't think that most black people realize that our citizenship is tied to an amendment. And at any given time, these people can go back and amend an amendment and take away all our rights right here in this country.
That's right.
We got rights?
Well, some of them. Thanks.
And you say they owe us how much?
About 17.1 trillion. That was the last number.
So all of us would be a millionaire plus. Okay. Now that's where the discussion should start. And if we can, I would like the audience to introduce themselves, you know, and tell me what you think of reparation. Because I've met people since this discussion have come up, and some say, oh, those people are dead now. You know, we're going to pay it to, oh, let's forget the past, you know. There's a lot of different things that I have encountered about this reparation, you know. And I'm like Queen Mother Moore now, after going back and listening to read what she said. We don't need people telling us how to spend it. What we need to do is pay the descendants. So my thing is it how do they decide? Because this is what's going on in America, is that we have so many different discussions, and nobody's doing anything. When I was in the nationalism, it came up. Queen Mother Moore was there then. Here we are, 2019 now, and we're still with this discussion. And if we keep being sleep, we're gonna sleep it, and they're gonna just X us out. They gotta pay something.
I have a question.
Are we finished with the ready for discussion? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because you just said not to tell us how to spend. So my question is, how do we tell the black culture to stop spending the money with the white culture and the government culture in order to, because what I feel like the issue is, we're spending all of our money this way, right? That's why we don't have any ground to stand on. We're paying these people not to pay us. So how do we teach our people to stop spending with them so we can boycott? Because once we stop spending with them, we gonna shut stuff down, period. We put the most money out. And so if we stop spending with them and then we start shutting stuff down, now we got something to talk about. You see, how do we teach the black culture to spend the money within the black culture? Stop spending with Kroger's and Wendy's and McDonald's and shopping at Macy's and this, that, and the third. Because mind you, we're paying them. We're paying the police to kill us. We pay the government. How do we address that? Because until we stop putting all of our money out, then we don't have a leg to stand on.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna say this. Okay, you want to take it in? This is Hatem. Go ahead, Hatem.
I'm gonna call him down. I'm gonna wait. No. See, all right. Now, part of the issue is, first off, we got to really come to the reality, and it was hard for me because I was one of those that was on the fact that we spend our money like such and such, and we put so much money out. If you look at the total amount of wealth that black people have in America, it's not really that significant. Out of the 117 billion, we control 117 trillion. We control 3 trillion of those dollars. 3. That's all. So when we start talking about that, we got to be very careful. And then second off, we have a leg to stand on regardless of how we spend our money, because our ancestors built this country, period. So how, if you go out and you smoke up all the crack that you can with your check, that's your business. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So the piece we need to be more concerned about is getting it and stop worrying about other folks' pockets, because this is why with Gye-Nyame Journey, we keep on telling people you need to tribe up. Why? Because if there is an amount of money that's given, I'm not worried about the fools out there. I'm worried about my crew. So now what happens is we are able to put our money together, and we're going to be able to buy your mama's house because you didn't spend your money wisely.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So really, we ain't. One of the issues is we want to worry about the larger group when we need to really just focus on the groups that we have that are doing something. That's what I'm concerned about.
And we know that a debt, no matter what, the debt is still due. No matter what, they owe us, like you said.
Well, I attended the ADOS, African
American
Descendant,
descendants.
and there was a brother there, his name was Aha Mensa. He talked about, if they didn't give us the money, how we could use strategies when we buy a house. When we buy a house, no matter what, that leverages you into, educating your children. That leverages you into your being able to buy the bank, to do a lot of different things that a house can afford you. They probably won't give us the money, but when we start doing things for ourselves, like the young lady is saying, like if we started to buy, things that we need. When you think about, how many in this room own the gun? How many of us farm? So we, there's a lot of things that we could be doing that that would help ourselves. And we buy weed, we buy dyes, we buy all of these things, but we have never sat down and said like, hey, that 3% that we control, how much of it comes back to us 3 or 4 times? And what are those 3 things that we control, Mr.?
You said 3% of that money.
3% of the money.
Of the money.
About 3% of the total country's wealth.
What are the products and the services?
Oh, there's no products and services. Actually, we provide service for a majority of our money. We don't control any major industry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we have to realize that's not, because one of the things that I think people don't understand, when we fall into the rhetoric that we have been falling into, what we are doing is we are, in a sense, giving people a leg to stand on when we get into discussions. Because well, y'all are lazy. Because I want you to think about it. Think about how other people would take some of our arguments. We need to spend our money better. Yeah, you're right, nigga. You need to spend your money better. When systematically We have never had access to any type of wealth. Our grandparents were not allowed to compete when they was building railroads. We weren't able to compete when that idiot named Rockefeller was able to go on and do all that oil stuff. When all the wealth was made in this country, they did not allow us to compete. So now we're talking about when everything has been distributed in America. Now we're talking about, well, we need to pull our stuff together to compete. Now, I guess y'all really don't understand economics, because right now, 60% of the wealth that's in America right now, 60% of it is inherited. It's not being made in industry. That's done. So now for us to like for example, how many people in here got Sprint phones? How many of y'all use Sprint? All right, this is how big money happens. T-Mobile is bigger than Sprint. I decide I want to swallow it up. So regardless of whether the Sprint people want to pass it down or not, either they could roll with T-Mobile or get ran out. So we got to be clear on what we're saying. In a lot of our discussions, we agree with people as far as us being lazy, as far as us being shiftless, because we're not spending our money. Most of the money we spending is survival money. I'm smoking weed and cigarettes and drinking alcohol because I'm depressed. I need some help. I'm trying to give my kids what I can, and I'm doing the best that I can, and the only thing I give them is a damn pair of good tennis shoes, and if that's all I could do, I'm going to spend my money on them damn tennis shoes, because it makes them feel better, and when they feel better, I can feel good about myself. I'm just saying. Y'all can't have no conversation like this with me.
Renee, and then Navita, and he's back there.
We get into this kind of debate about where we're spending our money. First of all, when somebody talks about as far as us as a people being lazy and shifting stuff,
Can you come up a little bit, Renee?
I said we can't go on that. You understand what I'm saying about being lazy and all this? We can't go on that. We know that our people are in a condition that have to come out of it, so we have to put ourselves out there. So, young man, I called your organization and told y'all to give me some goddamn flyers. Because I'm a serious person, so if I asked you to get me them flyers to pass out, we would have more people. We would have more people in here today. You understand what I'm saying? And somebody called me, and they didn't call me back. So this is the kind of negligence that I'm talking about you, cuz.
Me?
Your organization. You understand? I was down at the library. Okay, and I got in contact with them. They called me because I put my name on it. This is the kind of stuff, because you got people ready to work right now. We'll come to that bridge about how can we get to other people. But if they don't have the information to be funneled down, then we can't do them. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to ask you again. On Thursdays, we need to be out there in Mamie Moore Park passing out flyers. Regardless if they throw the motherfuckers on regardless if they throw them on the ground, regardless of what they do. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say that. But I'm here to put in the work for you and stand behind you. But back on the sisters conversation about how do we get people to stop spending, see, one thing that we fail to realize is when we wanted to be integrated with them. We were better off segregated. You understand? So when I was a kid, I'm 65, so I remember when we could spend our money with each other because we didn't have no other choice. As soon as Mr. Bob opened up the door for us to come in here, and that make us think that we're equal to them, giving them our money, that doesn't make us free. So I'm with you on your reparations. I just want us to be able to, those flyers, my name's on your thing, we need those flyers to pass out on Thursday.
I'll get with you, brother. I'll get with you after this.
Get with how Tim, I'll probably be leaving.
And I believe that was the children of KMI. Okay, I believe those the people that we had called on this part, because they called me also Wednesday, and someone from Cincinnati was supposed to come up too. So Mark is with the ABO.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
They didn't take it. This right here.
It was a different group.
It's a different group.
He was there, but we was,
Yeah.
I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying periodically,
Okay.
we need to just
just
make
need
sure
to
that
clear
this
that up.
information is passed on. Not only do we need to hit maybe more, some of these churches, they need to be going up in there. You understand? To bring them out to understand what's really going down because they're trying to relinquish us from this planet.
Is there a way that
So-
we could set up so
wait.
that when we come in, you know, like we could
We go what?
Could we set up, you know, like, because all of us are coming with pain in our hearts, you know, about this. Is there certain, you know, like certain questions and answers so that we don't keep on saying, you know, like they owe us or how, you know, the money is going to be spent, you know, because we keep on, you know, not getting to the point of, you know, like how do we set up, you know, a way of, you know, setting this document up so that we can get what we want.
Well, first of all, I think we all need healing, you know, and then we can move on. So we need to, you know, to come up with how we can heal because there's a lot of pain when you bring up reparation and knowing at our age what our families and that have went through. Navita.
I want to say that when we get together to talk about reparations, then we should talk about reparations. There are other issues that we have, or how we spend our money, how we don't spend our money, whatever, but we are trying to get reparations. And if we all agree on that alone, then those other conversations, in my opinion, can take place in another setting. But right now, we're here to talk about reparations. How do we get it? And how do we come together to try to make a move? Someone said to me the other day about maybe we could get together and do some type of a class action suit against the government to get them to pay, or something of that nature. And then, you know, the other issues that we're coming forth about today are different. To me, it's a different discussion than
It is.
reparations.
It is.
Okay. Queen Mother Moore, you know, did the petition. She took it to the United Nations. But what we need is groups that's going to, you know, do the same thing as the Jewish people. The Jewish people is being paid by the United States, and we need to see how they got America to pay for Germany and was it France, and then the Japanese, they got paid, you know. So we need the Chinese. That, you know, there's plenty of groups. We just need to study what happened that they, you know, was able to get America to pay them reparations. And we don't need. I was talking to Verhani today, and she had a good you know, discussion. She said the Indians, how the American Indians had messed up. They, you know, was getting reparation and got the casino or something. But Verhani, you want to?
Yeah, what I would like to add is a historical analysis and using a strategy, a new strategy of what we're going to do. We don't have a historical analysis of what people are doing reparation throughout this country, okay? So we need to have that to look at. What the historical analysis, what have they obtained? We had on, where was it, YouTube, we had the brothers and the sisters stand on a panel talking about reparations, talking about it from a historical analysis. They're not even at the table with the Senate to deal with reparations. So we don't know where we're at in relationship to reparations. We just knew what she read about Queen Mother Moore. We don't have a historical analysis. That is a strategy. A strategy is going to take you to your goal, and you're going to use different tactics to get you to that goal. We don't have that. And we need to understand how we get there. We need to understand what the strategy is, how we're going to look at it historically, and who had reparations in this country. The Chinese fought, they damn near killed everybody, the Chinese. We don't have that history. We don't even discuss that history. The Japanese came, the Native Americans came. So what were they doing, and what did they obtain we know where China is now. It's probably behind, it's probably holding up the United States or the world economic system. So we need to understand those kind of things in reparations.
Well, moving out next, and I still go, I promise.
Second comment?
I do think
Yeah.
that I don't want us to look at this thing as though we don't have any historical analysis. We have the historical analysis. Our historical analysis is that we are descendants of slaves. That's enough historical analysis that we need to present to anybody sitting up there that you need to pay us for, what has happened to us, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you think it is. We need to be paid for this because no one, even if you look at the Japanese, the Native Americans, the Chinese, the whoever, ain't went through what we went through. They did not go through what we went through. Didn't even go through it. Excuse me. Wait, I ain't finished talking yet. They did not go through what we went through. We went from slavery to emancipation to Jim Crow.
And back to emancipation, and back again.
So that's enough. No other group of people or culture people have gone through that. None. Jim Crow did not start in the 1960s. Jim Crow started in 1870. So you went from slavery to I don't know what to do with you to Jim Crow.
Yeah.
That's what you went through. You might have wasn't there, but this is what our ancestors went through. So we don't need to be talking about, looking at how we spend money because guess what? We all need to eat.
Yeah.
And if we ain't got no black stores here to feed us, then we got to go to Kroger. That's as simple as that. Whatever those other things is that we need to stop spending money on. Number two is that, the things that we have, like the brother said, that this money that we spending stuff on, whether it's our house, whether it's our car to get back and forth to work, those things are due from after you pay your bills, this is what you got. You see what I'm saying? Nobody in America, the wealth of America is they need to pay. I wouldn't give a damn if they didn't have no money. You still need to pay. Go make some more money and make it for everybody else. Why you think they got billionaires out here today? Somebody's making some money somewhere. And they can make money anytime they want to. I should.
So at the last.
Wait, hold on,
That's Councilman.
Okay, so I want to say this. I'm very familiar with ADOS. I've been to the website. I've been in email debates with members of ADOS. And I don't agree with everything that ADOS is doing and saying because I think a lot of the stuff that Sagami is non-Pan-African. However, one of the, for people talking about strategy, what they have, if you visit their website, if you listen to some of the people on YouTube, they have a very specific strategy. The rep of what, and I'm sure you can speak to it more. What they're asking for about reparations. They've been very, as far as I'm concerned, they've been very skilled and very. They have been very effective when it comes to knowing how to work the political system, because the first disagreement I got with one of an ADOS person who was with me was saying that, don't be involved in politics. And I said, how in the world are you going to say don't be involved in politics where you're talking about getting a reparations program through the U.S., through the legislature? That was a ridiculous statement. Okay, and I think, but then somebody else said, don't listen to people that have college degrees, elitists. So they're I don't agree with some of the stuff, but from working directly with them, one thing that they do have, Rahani, is they have a strategy.
as far, and you can share that as far as what the types of reparations that they're asking for. And then another thing is one of the people who I'm in discussion with is a bit younger than me, and she, one of the things she was saying, they were giving this generation given credit for bringing reparations to like Mitch McConnell and the Congress and all that. They're not, because John Conyers did it until they forced him to resign, and now this generation has picked up the mantle and they've taken it further than we have been. And one of the things that I want to avoid, okay, is because this is something that I think we fall into, and it's something that I've discussed with my friend, is that just because somebody might have a disagreement in the way they want to look at strategy, that's not, you don't get into generational put downs, because it's not that. Okay, there are some things going on now with social networking and all that kind of stuff that give this generation more of an opportunity to galvanize people. So I think that it may be what we need to hear, because it's not about the right check, so to speak. In the when the media puts it out there, they put it out there to people that have they want to write. It's not kind of like that. So maybe you can share what the reparations that your organization is pushing.
Yeah, and I have to say, to kind of piggyback on your Pan-African thing, I don't think that, well, for those of us who are in leadership, who actually are leaders, we have a lot of people that any organization does that go out and do rogue stuff, that go out and try to spew hate, or that they may say that they are ADOS and they're affiliate and they're not.
Let me interject this real quick since you said that. Just before I came here, I was listening to Tariq and it was very non-Pan-African. The only people you need to think about are us born in America and all these, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just saying that it's very,
It's jaded. Well, Tariq is not really affiliated with the movement. And, but what I will say is that the effectiveness that we have had in pushing the conversation is because we are galvanized on social media. So one of the biggest things that we push for is for whoever. It doesn't matter if you were a black immigrant. If you were an ally, you're an ally. Black is black, no matter where you come from. The issue that we have ran into is that sometimes we have people who want to go with the do-it-for-self mentality. Like, we got to do everything for ourselves. Well, if you don't understand history and you don't understand data, it has never been a time where we haven't done for ourselves and something got either co-opted or destroyed. And so our points are, number one, and I'll give them to you, and I'll give y'all what we consider reparations, is we want the term minority to be thrown away. Because minority in this country is everybody but white men. And somehow or another, affirmative action, which was supposed to be a program, and I remember researching Thurgood Marshall when he said what affirmative action was supposed to do. It was supposed to address the redress for black Americans not having opportunity to compete in industry, education, and in the job market. Well, what happened was you had somehow or another every other minority group decided to jump in on the affirmative action, and now you got Chinese and Japanese that are suing the American government and institutions because they get discriminated against because they say they're not getting quotas. And then you had white people, white men, who were going to colleges and saying that there were quotas set aside for black folks, and it was reverse racism. So when all that happened, affirmative action became a program for everybody except white men. And white women in this country have benefited more from affirmative action than any minority group ever, because they use the word diversity. What diversity is gender, is race, is religious beliefs, is everything under the sun. So what we're asking for is that they do away with affirmative action, and if you're going to bring it back, it needs to be set aside for the people that it was actually intended for. That's number one. Number two is black businesses. We only get about 1% of the Small Business Association loans and grants from the SBA. At one point, it was about 5%, but right now it's about 1%. we are demanding that the government set aside about 15% of those SBA grants and loans to be designated just for black businesses. It's not just for ADOS businesses. It's any person who is black that wants to start a business. We want them to be able to get either a grant or a loan and start a business. Those businesses we know are going to be in our communities, and but we don't want them to open up and then 5 minutes later they shut it right back down, because that's how black businesses are. We don't support ourselves. We don't support our black businesses because we don't have the infrastructure in our communities to keep them alive and well. So we want the government to set aside this amount of money, this percentage, so that way we can start to economically build our communities up. The next point that we have is that we have noticed that in our communities, the infrastructure has been neglected. If you look at Flint, Michigan, lead in the water. You go down to the south in Alabama, people living in communities, they got hookworms because sewage is spilling back into their communities. You look at Baltimore, it's like they just showed a picture today on Twitter of Baltimore and Elijah Cummings' congressional district where people are living outside. You got homelessness running rampant all in Skid Row, Los Angeles. And we don't have the protections from the EPA to stop these people from dumping sewage in our community. There should be lawsuits, not just for Flint water crisis. It should have been a lawsuit against the EPA for even allowing lead to be in the water in the first place. But we didn't fight for that. All we fought for was getting bottled water and filtered. Where the people of Flint should have been filing a class action lawsuit against the government because the EPA didn't do their job in the first place. So our energy wasn't in the right spot because black people as a whole, we're more reactionary, and then instead of being on the front line. We always react to everything. It's just like with black people. If somebody gets killed in our neighborhood by a cop, we go to the streets and march. Well, we should be fighting institutional racism every single day of the week, trying to knock down these doors. We react to every single thing that happens in our community. That's one thing.
Hold up, brother.
Yeah.
I think that 15% of small businesses needs to be higher.
Okay.
You know, because 15% of what amount? You know what I'm saying? And if we don't know the amount yet, it needs to be up around 45%.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I would take that up to back to our leadership.
You know, because when we look at small businesses and the lack of people supporting small businesses, we will still fall in a destitute, because we don't have the money to keep us afloat until whatever happens, happens so that we can be supported. You know what I mean?
I got you. I will take that back to the leadership. Now, the next one is the banks. And at our panel, we had a brother start talking about banking black and to put money in offshore bank accounts and all that stuff.
Oh, Lord.
Well, before we can start moving money around, we got to have money to move around.
That's right.
And, okay, all right. So we can't be moving money around and all that stuff. I bank black. I got an account with One United. But if I need to conduct business, I don't want to be calling on the phone. They don't have enough branches anywhere. So because some of the stuff that I do, it requires me to go walk into a bank. But what we're looking at, we've seen patterns of racial discrimination amongst Wells Fargo, Chase Bank. During the housing crisis, they were going around the communities, subprime lending to black folks, and then black folks started losing their houses. Well, these same banks was able to get bailed out by the government, but the black folks that they predatory lended to didn't get bailed out. So what we're asking for is that we want a study to be conducted on all the five major banks that got bailed out. We want to know the practices, and if they had a pattern of discriminatory practices against black folks, they should have to pay back the money as far as reparations for that bailout that Obama gave them. They should have to pay that money back with interest. And the people who lost their houses, they should be able to go back and get those houses back from HUD and be able to move back into their communities because they lost the houses and HUD owns them right now. And those black folks that we didn't get bailed out. The banks got bailed out even though they were lending to us wrong. So that's one of the things that we're asking for. We're talking about colleges and education in our communities. If you look at Columbus Public Schools,
be specific. Read what are you asking for when it comes to education?
Okay,
as reparation.
Yeah. So college debt should be forgiven in the same way that the banks were bailed out during Wall Street. So any black person who has a student loan, that loan should go away completely. HBCUs should be 100% funded, just like Ohio State and every other school is getting funded. And so that way we're not losing. At one time we had 300 HBCUs in this country. Right now we got 103. And 5 of them right now are in financial despair that within the next 2 or 3 years they may close down. Wilberforce being one of them. So if we don't fight to keep these HBCUs and get them the proper funding like they're supposed to, then they're going to shut down. The reason is because most black kids that go to school are borrowing money. They're not getting scholarships to go to these schools. They're borrowing student loans. So as the debt starts arising, these kids are not paying this money back, so the school is losing money, and that's how the finances is going down. So we want HBCUs to be 100% free for any black person that wants to go to them, and they'll incur no debt. And any student loan debt that you have occurred, it should be 100% wiped away.
Okay, because I thought I read that you want ADOS to be able to go.
No. Because the thing is the diaspora. We know ADOS people go to HBCUs at about an 85% rate, but there are people throughout the diaspora that go to HBCUs too, and we know that. And it's kind of hard to kind of separate us as a group by ourselves because we're so intermixed with the diaspora. And I think a lot of people they get that confused because they say, okay, well, ADOS wants to be its own tribe. We are our own tribe because we descend from American chattel slavery. We're the only group amongst the diaspora that descends from American slavery. Everybody else may have been enslaved, but they weren't enslaved in the United States, and they didn't deal with the chattel slavery that we dealt with here. So they were allowed to come here and assimilate into black culture. The issue that we run into with the diaspora, and it's not all of them, it's just some, is that they springboard us and use all the resources that were put aside, and then they want to turn around and point a finger at those of us and say that black folks, all y'all are lazy, and that if you work hard enough, you can have the same thing. I have been in discussions with people from Nigeria and Ghana about this every single day almost. And they all say that most of the stuff that we deal with as black Americans is our own problem, and we caused it. Where they don't understand that institutional racism and systemic oppression was applied to our communities way before they came here, and we are the effect of that. Jim Crow. People think it's over with. No, we still got Jim Crow going on right now. That's why we still got segregated communities. And we don't realize that because we've assimilated into whiteness, as I like to say, because we can go to Kroger or go to live out in Pinkerton or in Canal, Winchester, and have white neighbors and stuff like that. No, we assimilated into whiteness. But when we did that, we integrated into them, and we got nothing for it. But they got access to black dollars. We got absolutely nothing because as soon as we start coming into their communities, they decided to uproot and leave and go somewhere else. And we have been chasing white folks around for 50 years. Every single time they build a community, we move into it. Next thing you know, a few years later, it's black and all the white folks is gone.
Sure.
And it happens, and we keep doing this, and it's the same cycle over and over and over again. And we don't understand why it keeps happening like this. It's by design.
I don't know if I agree that's part of the diaspora, but because I think that's part of how we have. But it is part of institutional racism, but it's also how we have interpreted things ourselves. That the way that we have to move into a white community to represent our success. So I think that there's a mindset issue there too. If we quit chasing the white, if we move into a community and they move out, fine. We can just work better to make our community more comfortable for us. See, I don't necessarily see that as a negative that communities are segregated.
I'd like for you to finish.
Okay. And so the last one is about HR 40, and that is the study of reparations. That's the one that
garbage bill.
That was the hearing that was done on Juneteenth, and it was a theory. If it was an Emmy, it would be Emmy nominated because all it was a bunch of coonery. In my opinion, because nothing what came out of that hearing was anything beneficial to black people as a whole at all. What you saw, you had people sitting up there. You had 2 people sitting on there saying that they didn't care about reparations. You had the football player that basically totally forgot that he was black, I guess. You had the little young black guy that, the young black guy that he was a Yale graduate or something like that, a Columbia graduate, and he was talking. Nothing got done. And I only think that they had that hearing was because of the pressure that has been getting applied to politicians. See, ADOS, the one thing that we do besides social media is that we meeting with these politicians. We are showing up every single place that they are. Jim Clyburn had a fish fry in Columbia, South Carolina for his constituents, and every single presidential candidate was down there. Well, 250 ADOS members from Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina went straight to that fish fry and started acting on planned food. And to the point where most of them got sent away because they was videotaping these politicians. They was getting in their faces, asking questions about where they stood at. We have taken a stance that if they don't give us what we want, we are not going to vote for them. And we see, here's the thing. And I know a lot of people say, well, why would you withhold the vote? The only thing that we have in our community is our vote. That's it. We don't have black dollars. We can't influence politicians with money because we don't have the billions to lobby politicians on Capitol Hill. But what we do have as a collective whole is our right to vote. The fundamental thing that our ancestors fought for was the right for us to vote. But with that right to vote, that does not mean that I gotta constantly keep giving you my vote and I ain't getting nothing in return. And I think my vote is worth something in return. I think it should be a give and take. You come to the black community, want to have a fish fry, you want to go to the black church, you want to say all these kumbayas for 2 or 3 months, saying the same stuff over and over again, selling us pipe dreams, and then we vote, they get elected, and we don't see them no more.
But you just got to talking about Flint, Michigan, and that's the main problem I had with the ADOS people I've been discussing with is that these folks who represent the organization said that we have nothing to lose. And my argument was, if we disengage from politics, how are we going to enforce a class action lawsuit against the EPA and have it to pass? So the disengagement, the saying disengagement in politics, but yet still you're you're visiting the fish fry. You are engaging in politics, and we need to stay engaged in politics wisely.
Now,
I'm telling you based on the discussions I've had with other people. That's what I'm saying.
Now, the issue withholding the vote is, how can I put it? Withholding the vote is still participating in the political process. Now, what we're talking about as ADOS is disengaging from the presidential piece. We still need to vote the undercard. All this we still need, because these school boards still affect us directly. City council still affects us directly. So we still are politically active. What we're saying is, as president, Democrats, if you want us to vote for you, cut the check.
Cut the check. And the thing is that when we say disengage or withhold the vote, we're not saying don't vote. What we're saying is we're not going to vote for you. Because there could be other people that show up on the ballot. There's other people out there. We don't have to keep voting for the same people. We can get people from our own community to go and launch campaigns. We have an ADOS member that is the lead organizer for ADOS Los Angeles. She's running for city council in Los Angeles. And we're backing her because we need to have people that have our interests in these political spaces. Because if we don't, what we get is a bunch of Uncle Toms that look like us that sit up there and come around and tell us all these feel good stories and then go right and vote completely against our interests. And we have given them the vote, and we've been doing this for year and year and year and year. And it's a strategy. It's a strategy because they know that black folks are not politically educated enough to because we just vote. And you have people like Al Sharpton. They go to these NAACP. Hey, you know what? We need to vote. What are we voting for? What am I voting for? What is me checking your name on a ballot doing for my community? And when we start asking those questions, and that's why we're at the fish fry. That's why we're at, and that's why we're meeting with these politicians to find out, are you an ally or not? If you are not an ally, you get no support from us and nobody that is affiliated with us, because we need people that are going to fight for us. because we know that this justice claim that we're fighting, it has to move out of the Congress, it has to get to the Senate, it has to sit on the desk of the presidency. This is $17.1 trillion of a bill. This ain't conservative. So people who said that we're Republicans, this ain't conservative. This is straight liberal. This is writing us and putting us right in line where we're supposed to be at economically. But we got gatekeepers and people who are used to the status quo that will sit there and act like and say things to us, and then they don't vote for us. They sit up there and do everything else for every community. You got black folks who are lesbian and gay who have totally forgot that they black first. And now all of a sudden, all their issues is LGBTQ. But last time I looked, you got black skin. So you ain't black first no more. And so you have aligned yourself with a whole other thing and totally forgot that you black. And that's what happens in our community. We align with every single thing else instead of being black first.
Right.
And when we go back to being black first and have black issues and black people that are fighting for us, then we're gonna start to see some change. But that means that we gotta be educated, and that's what we're doing in the community. We're gonna be out canvassing Columbus. My group is.
What are you asking, or what would you ask me to do? What are you asking us to do?
Unite. Let's get in the streets. Let's go knock door to door. Let's go canvass. There's a lot of people that don't vote at all. We need them to vote. We need them to be a political arm with us and be out canvassing, knocking on doors, and find out what's really going on in Columbus before it's too late. Because if not, we're going to see gentrification going on the east side and southeast Columbus. It's going to be all white before it's all said and done. That's right. And we ain't going to have nowhere to go.
But that's fine. You know, but I don't want us to get back into the same old thing that we were back in the 60s, you know, about let's go vote. Let's educate people about voting to go vote. Educating people about voting to go vote. Because other than that, we'll be caught up again with we're going to vote, we're going to vote, we're going to vote. You know, we're voting interest.
Yeah. See, well, we have to become, as black people, we have to become issue-focused voters. There is no political party that black folks are really, really a part of. Either Democrat or the GOP. They're the same snake with two different heads. And we've been getting conned by both of them. Because if you see a politician, one day they sitting on TV talking bad about Donald Trump, the next weekend they're hanging out down to Mar-a-Lago with Drake. Now, and we sit up here like, these are our elected officials? No, we have to realize that we have to become issue-focused voters. And every single issue in the black community is what we're voting for. And that's what we're advocating for. So if we're going to vote, and we're going to go out here and vote, we're going to vote on issues. We're going to vote on, not a party, issue. Because I was listening to Navita, she said, Whitehall is 97% black, but the whole government is white. How does that happen? How does that happen? How does Whitehall become an all-white government, but it's 97% black? We got an issue there. We got an issue there. We got issues all over. We got issues all over.
That's another one. We sleep at the wheel.
We've been asleep, and we do this. Ferguson, same thing happened in Ferguson. They had the little guy, Michael Brown, got killed. They said Black Lives Matter. Everybody went to Ferguson, got tear bombed. They did all this marching and riots and all this stuff. And then as soon as it was time to vote, black folks didn't show up again. And then the same people who they were just fighting with and rioting with and marching for end up right back in office all over again. Like, what do we do? We put ourselves in these circles and these problems because we don't do what we're supposed to do as conscious, issue-focused voters. And, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say we're too reactionary.
I think we need to educate people about the political process. Fear education of how to get things to the legislator, how to get things passed. And I think that a lot of organizations, including our own, including a lot of stuff I listen to on Black YouTube, you know, take advantage of the fact that we don't know that process and put a lot of stuff out there to stoke people emotionally, and they're not really teaching, they are contributing to the miseducation. That's just been, you know, so I would just, you know, I'd like to see that piece is important.
Before everybody starts leaving, I would like to get there. Can you sign in?
She's not leaving. She's going to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Go to the restroom.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. I think for the reparations piece, what we're fighting for is the issue is an actual justice claim. So you asked me what I want you, what I like you to do.
The reparations.
Yeah. We need everybody. We need boots on the ground. We gotta meet with the Joyce Beatties and all these local politicians as well, because they have influence. Just like you all are having this meeting today, well, the young black Democrats are having a meeting at Columbus Library at the same exact time. We don't know what they're talking about because they have a whole different issue and a different focus. So these are the next politicians, quote unquote, that are going to be fighting for Black America. Well, they need to have a black agenda before they get elected. So we have to get out in the communities. We got to find out what people are concerned about. Who are they voting for if they vote at all? Why they're voting for that person, and then provide them with data. With data to make them aware of these situations. That's number one. Number two, we also can't be reactionary. We got to get ahead of this stuff. That's why my group is started now. Like tomorrow, we're breaking people into work groups. We're breaking people into work groups. We got 3 pillars that we're working on so that everybody's not getting burnt out. So we're gonna be doing community outreach. We're going door to door from Linden Avenue all the way down to Livingston Avenue. We're coming all the way down, and we're gonna be canvassing this area. What we're looking for is a ballot initiative that's gonna be statewide. That's dealing with policing, and we want citizen review boards throughout the state of Ohio. So anytime there's an officer involved shooting, they gotta come and to the citizen review board. Let the citizens decide whether or not it goes to a grand jury or not, and see if they get indicted. The reason why we do that, because Nashville just did it down there, and it's working. It's working in those communities, and they have had a decrease in police misconduct and the way the police are handling black folks in their communities. Why? Because now they know if they do something crazy, they can be fired by the Citizen Review Board. That's one thing that we're going to be doing here. We need 130,000 signatures to make it a ballot initiative for the 2020 election. It's got to be 3% of the entire state. So between Cincinnati, Toledo, Youngstown, Dayton, Columbus, we got ADOS groups in every one of those areas. And we're going to be out canvassing to get these signatures so we can put it as a ballot measure. So we just ask for time. You know, my group just asked for time. We got the infrastructure in place. We don't want no money. We don't need no money.
What? You don't need no money?
Well, right now we don't.
The groups.
Yeah, my group doesn't. My group doesn't need any money right now.
Just need manpower.
Huh?
Need manpower.
We need manpower.
Where do you get the funding?
We have a political action coalition. We have a PAC. It's called Friends of ADOS. The PAC was started by an ADOS member in Dayton, Ohio. So we have money and resources to be able to do what we want. A lot of people think we're funded by Russia for some reason, or we funded by Russia, or this PFR thing that Yvette Carnell's supposed to be a part of, some white wing think tank. No, we are funded. If I need something, I just need manpower. That's it. I don't need no money. Because everything that we're doing doesn't really require money. It just requires you to be on the ground. It just requires you to go knock on the door, ask somebody a question, pass out a flyer, all that stuff. That's all we need. And I think that we can shape, once these candidates get vetted by the black community. It's just like me and Tim having a conversation. Before I can come speak to y'all as a group, he gotta vet me first and make sure I'm legit. The same thing we gotta do for our candidates. We gotta make sure they're legit before we start voting for them. So when you go to the ballot box and you got somebody standing outside your polling area with that little flyer that says, "Hey, these are all the 10 Democrats that's running. Just go in there and vote for these people." We got something to say. You know what? Nah. These are the people I'm voting for right here because I know these are the people that got my interest in line. That's what I say. We got to be issue focused voters. So. And that's the whole thing. So our agenda is on our website. You know, it's a lot of different points. I could have gone over the whole thing. It's about 15 of them on there.
What's the website?
It's ADOS. It's ADOS101.com. Yeah, and we they're on there. They're on there. We are in this fight for reparations. And you know, a lot of people think that we are divisive because of our rhetoric and stuff like that. But this is the first time that we have had a movement since the Black Panthers that is focused on black issues the way it's supposed to be focused on black issues. And when you start to try to tear down institutional racism and discrimination, and you start going up against the media and all these black politicians and the NAACP and the Urban League, when you start to go up against these people, they're going to come out with every single thing but the kitchen sink. But the data is the data. We broke. We don't have no money. It's been robbed and pillaged and stolen. We want it back, and we're going to get it by any means necessary. Or you're not going to get our vote. That's pretty much the mantra for ADOS. And we welcome anybody from the diaspora. If you're an ally, you're an ally. But if you're against us, you're against us. Because we're going to keep moving forward to fight for this reparations thing. Because I think if not for my generation, at least the generation after, they should be able to have it. And you all have been in this fight forever. So we got some young blood now. We got some young blood now, and we mobilize real quick on phones because social media is a powerful thing for us. And we're 1 million strong across this entire country right now, and we got 37 chapters and 42 states. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So as far as being a member of ADOS, doing some groundwork, getting people to vote wisely, and educate them on voting and the power of their vote, issue-based voting. What is your next move as far as how I want to say? What do you want? So what you will email me?
Yeah. I sent out everybody who came to the town hall should have got an email from me. Yeah. So I sent out emails like that Tuesday, and it basically kind of said what our next steps were. And that was basically we're going to be creating work groups that's going to be doing different stuff. Everybody's going to get put in like a pillar, debate, kind of like whatever they want to do. So we got community outreach. If you want to be a boots on the ground and be out in the community, collecting signatures, helping us with educating the voters, then you'll be working with that team and that group. We got a political awareness and outreach. Those people are going to be meeting with the politicians. They're going to be going to town hall meetings, any event that because we know Ohio is a battleground state. Yeah. Every single presidential candidate going to come through Columbus because they're going to be trying to get the minority vote, and they're going to be talking all this crap. So we're going to be right there, front and center, to either protest or meet with them or just be all up in their faces because we need to know exactly. I call that the rah-rah group. Those are the people that may end up on the news with signs and stuff like that. And then we have the opposition piece, which is everybody who's against us. We understand why they're against us, and we're trying to build coalitions. We're not trying to divide anybody. We want a coalition build, and we want different groups. Whether it's the Columbus African Council, if it's the Urban League, if it's the NAACP, whatever group it is, we need to somehow or another be able to coexist with each other and work on a common goal. And we all can keep our autonomy and be our own way, but we got to move forward because the only thing that white supremacy wants is for us to be divided amongst each other, and we can't move. We can't move as a group or as a tribe if we can consistently stay divided. So go ahead.
So as an ADOS individual, what would you say to a person that says to you, which I think this is said a lot, is if I don't vote, then Trump's going to make a second term. What do you say to that?
We've had 400 years of Trumps. We've had 400 years of Trump, and they ain't did nothing else. I think what it is the vote for nothing, vote for anybody but Trump is not the way. But because
same old strategy.
It's the same old strategy.
Right.
They have used this strategy on us since Lyndon B. Johnson became president. And it is, hey, just get them to vote. That's all they wanted to do. I don't think that the majority of black people would agree with just voting for anybody. Yeah, and I know some people out there, because I've had to battle some people like, oh, you know, y'all are trying to, this is Russian white supremacy. Y'all are trying to stop people from voting, and y'all suppressing black folks from voting. We're not doing that. We want you to be a conscious vote. We want you to vote. But when you vote, just don't vote for somebody because they got a D behind their name or they look like you.
Or out of fear of the other.
Or the fear of the other. Because right now, what Trump is doing really don't have anything to do with black folks, to be honest. It don't. I mean, he ain't talking about deporting us. I mean, be honest.
But
everything
is about cutting about $3 billion in food stamps, though.
Well, and here's the thing. This is why the reparations piece is so good. Because we have been conditioned to think that federal assistance is a way for us to survive. Because it's always been given to us.
You're talking philosophy.
I'm
talking about my cousin who needs some food stamps right now.
Okay. So, but here's the thing. If they had reparations, if we have reparations.
If they had it, but right now they got to survive right now.
Yeah, but here's, and I get that. We have been conditioned. Yeah. We have been conditioned to believe that that's the only way that we can survive, and that's what they want us to do.
I'm not saying your obedience. That was one of the. I'm not going to. I'm saying, well, I've been having these discussions because the person who was speaking to me was saying that nothing can get worse for anybody. But I think that depends on who you are. Whether things will get worse.
I just think that we've been conditioned that way to believe that that's the only way because we never fought for anything.
I didn't say that's the only way, and we have fought for things. I'm just simply saying, as far as, and I'm just saying, see, again, you talk to somebody who's been reading on the website, having other discussions. So I do know that and you said that there might be a segment of people who say they're affiliated with ADS, and what they're talking about is not really what ADS is promoting. But some of the people who I've been talking with, that's what they've basically been saying. And it's like, what about the mother in Flint, Michigan, who needs help right now? Because we know that when reparations come, you just said yourself, it may not be to the next generation. We have people who are trying to survive and live and eat right now.
Yeah, but also, it just ain't Trump. Because this budget is getting passed by.
I didn't use the word Trump.
Well, I'm saying, you said that he's trying to cut food stamps. Well,
the budget comes. The one right now who's in.
The budget is approved by Congress.
Right.
Congress has the purse. So that means that there is a Democratic majority that is sitting in Congress right now. So if that budget passes, that's because your Democratic elected officials allowed it to pass.
It's not the Democratic. You talk about the people taking advantage of the. He just like Obama did. He vetoed some stuff that Congress could do, and vice versa. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just simply saying that there people do have this disengaging in the political process, and I know you're saying something different. People do have something they can lose. We need to become more astute politically.
Yeah.
But disengagement, and people are hungry right now. Maybe the next generation will get this reparations through. It's been put up before Congress, every year since 1989. So you guys have the ball now, but even you were saying you're maybe the next generation, but people are trying to survive right now. So we have to keep that in mind also.
Yeah.
Our people think, in my opinion, we are.
Hold on, y'all have a side conversation. Let's focus,
We
y'all.
are resilient people, and there was a time, I'm sure, when food stamps did not exist. And there was a time when we came out after slavery, and we had to make
bad example. Let Michigan get poisoned by water.
We're not talking about water. We're talking about your food stamp company. But if people get cut from their food stamps, let me tell you something. My job is about to go. I'm losing my job because I've been on my job 23 years, and I'm losing my job, and I will probably be faced with the reality that I'm going to take a big pay cut on what the money I'm used to making. But you know what my attitude is? I'm going to make it though. I don't care. I've been on public assistance before, and I've been denied public assistance before because I didn't want to turn in the father of my child. But you know what? My world didn't fall apart. I said, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it without the food stamps and whatever. And I think sometimes we don't. Once we realize we can make another way, we can make another way. And if we bring our communities more and more together, we can make a way. We can look out for each other. You know, when I was coming up, and this may be different now, so I'm not even gonna bring that up, but I think that you make a way. I don't know. You make a way.
We're here today, and we have made it, because I have seen families take whatever in their house and make meals out.
I'm so
go out
sorry I
there
used the food stamp example.
But I'm just saying, we can make it. But the thing is, on Sundays at 3 o'clock at Whitehall Library, he has, his group meeting. He says he needs people on the ground to help him. That's what we need to do.
That's right.
He's got to stop talking, because this 1989 is not the first time reparation has been on the table. We've been talking about reparation forever and a day. I know that personally because I've been in groups that's been saying the same thing. And here we are today with are we afraid? Until we need to get out here, whatever we can do our little, whatever we can do, that's what we need to do. Pass out flyers,
flyers, voter registration stuff, like all that stuff. We need all. We need all that. We need all that. And the more people we get, regardless of ideology,
right?
The more we get, the one thing that we can all agree on is that the government needs to cut a check. We can agree that the government needs to cut a check, and we have to fight for this. We got to fight.
No, I was just gonna say we also need another thing we can do is we can start reading up on it, like she said, become a little bit more politically astute. Because, like for example, when somebody run into somebody who has been reading the stuff, and they're gonna be able to have a conversation with you, the only thing you can say is reparations. Yeah. We need reparations. We need to, because part of the issue that at the ADOS meeting, we had people coming in on stuff that if you was following that whole ADOS movement, you would know that you shouldn't step into that meeting with that.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, but then I want to go back to where we was talking about this whole economic piece. We got a place right here where we try to come and make it a hub. A couple of festivals pop up. Look around. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we got to support ourselves. We got to support. We got to do some stuff for ourselves. This is one of those opportunities where everybody at. But also, one of the things that we got to keep on mind, if you look at the numbers, because I'm a storyteller, numbers tell stories. Numbers show trends. If you follow the current trend, I don't know if you covered this, but if you follow the current trends by 2053, our median wealth will be 0. That means 50% of us will be below 0, 50% of us will be above 0. Now I want you to know what happens to a group of people when the wealth goes down to 0. Because if you think there's an issue with crime now, you know what I'm saying? We got to be clear on what we're facing. Because we know we have been pushed out systematically, and if we don't start becoming politically astute and start learning to hold these political people accountable, because like for example, how many of y'all know that they're adding 2 more seats, maybe 3 more seats to the Columbus, City Council? Then 3 more seats. There's no reason why somebody in this room should not have that, or one of our kids had that seat. In about 2023, school board is going to be elected. There's no reason why some of us shouldn't be running for school board, because we're talking about what we need to do. There's definite actions that we can do other than just hitting the streets like this too. We need to start making sure, like for example, when a candidate is running for anything in our state, if they come through Columbus in some form or fashion, they need to be getting in touch with us. No, they just they don't have to right now.
Back in the 60s. I said that's what I told you.
And the reason I really got with this was because I started really thinking about what's gonna happen to my kids.
Yeah.
2053, Cleveland would be about 30. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? What type of world will we be leaving our kids if we don't fight for this? Because this is the only thing. Because another piece that we need to cover as far as ADOS is Tone Talks 10 myths
10 myths
about closing the racial wealth gap.
Yep.
He covered every last myth that everybody throw up. Starting your own business. Boom. He shows you why that don't work. Black and black. Why that don't work. Why, you know what I'm saying? And he got all this information is out there. Where you go and you look at the numbers, it don't matter if we blame black. It don't matter if we increase our education. It don't matter because we were not allowed to compete, and we got to always remember that. The timing for all the wealth in America, for the way that the white boys did, the time for wealth making has passed us up, fam. It passed us up.
That's why you need an African world king.
What phase are we in?
Tim said something.
We're in inheritance. Right now, I'm sorry.
Tim said something very important about city council. I go down there.
Yes, you do.
I go down
I
there.
see you on TV. You on hash. I did.
Y'all want to know, why do you think they did Driving Park? It ain't because of us, it's because white people moving in. They getting ready to tear down Linden Park and build a brand new one because they're moving up to South and North Linden. I live in my community, I'm down there arguing with them every day because they will not come into your neighborhood if your center is not air conditioned. Mine's not air conditioned. City Hall, City Council, and the mayor will not come to your community if your rec center is not air conditioned. Believe that. Come down there and see what, most of the time, we don't hardly see none of us down there. There's always three Caucasians down there asking for what they want, and they get it.
And that's what politics is about. Asking and demanding for what you want. And then also, we need to get rid of this piece where we're asking for reparations. We're not asking for a damn thing. We are demanding what's owed to us. I don't hear nobody talking about you when your bill collectors are calling you. Nobody ever say, I wish they would stop calling me begging for their money. We are owed. So it's not us. We have to make the demand. And we have to start pushing the envelope because if we don't get it, we let down the future generations. If we thought Flint was bad, give it 12 years.
Yeah.
Give it 12 years. Because right now, the wealth, did you tell them the wealth right now?
It's $1,700.
That's the median. For those that don't understand, 50% are above that, 50% are below that. That means that the wealth, and please, family, we need to get out of this mind state about credit, because credit is not wealth. Credit gives you permission to go deeper into slavery. Now, income or salary is not wealth. We're talking about where wealth is what I'm able to pass from one generation to the next. I can't pass my job to Cleveland. Nobody in here most likely got to the next generation. So we have to really be clear on what we're dealing with. That they are able to pass money on down, and we start making our demands and start breaking down the system, we're going to get ate up.
Okay. I haven't heard from...
I can't really say a whole lot myself. Simple that was organizing is the only way we can get what we want. Standing united as one front. About voting, yes, we must vote. Because that's the only way our voice can be heard. If you don't
Talent.
This young man here, but it is the House of Representatives.
Yes.
Well, to quit bunching them together, called the Senate should have approval if you want to make that state up. Make it straight. All right. Now, there are some things, and one of those that we have to vote. We have to. People who die, just so we can have, we'll not show them respect. We have to vote. No, let him go.
He never said withhold the vote because local stuff matters. So it's like I got a choice between the devil and I should vote.
They're the same thing.
I mean, what? That's the point. So I go vote. I go vote for the cracker that they might put up there. That in 1994, the crime bill, who's a Democrat right now. What's his name?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Okay.
That cracker. I'm supposed to go vote for him. And what's his name?
What you want now.
Just saying. So I mean, why do I even need to throw my vote?
What you would do, in my person who would. That does not guarantee what you want to do is gather a collective vote to show how many persons, not one of those two, but that get a group of people to vote for that one person.
Right.
Then the train begins to.
That's what he's saying. We're telling them is if you want our vote, actual tangibles for black people, not just
Tell them what you want. Your words. Tell them what you want. You don't ask them to come to you talk to you. You go to them. Tell them this is how I want it.
Okay.
That's what he said earlier.
Well, that's what I just said. Same thing.
But either way, now let's say this. Let's go either way with that. The thing right now is that reparations is only a discussion. These young people set it on fire.
Wait a minute. Reparation been going on.
Listen, we be getting, and I get in my feelings too. We're talking about reparations until ADOS, these young people got up and made it the point. Any of y'all, prove me wrong. There have been a discussion about reparations on the presidential. That's not what I said. Now we want. No, but did that. I never negated that. What I am saying is because this is the problem. Because I don't know, maybe it's some jealousy or something on a presidential level where individuals.
But they also people believe it. Okay.
Believe in what?
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
I'm saying that's good things. Okay. But people need to know. You know, the House of Representatives is not 100% Democrat. 435 people, only 235. They just got a majority.
Right.
People got to know how to.
Wait, time out now. How come when it comes to us talking about reparations, I need to know how the system works. So for me to vote, I don't need to know the system. I need to know how the whole process.
I'm saying that we need to know how to process.
I agree. That has never been a major crux in the conversation was brought up. Yeah, now, but hold on. Now, I'm gonna try. Look at that ball. I mean,
but that's the one that everybody's so.
No, what you have to understand is that people have shook it up so much. They need to give us something simple. Let's move on and talk universal. But have you ever sat down and read that bill? That bill, boo. That is it's crazy
because it's aimed at big business.
This bill ain't even aimed at nobody.
Yes, it is.
No.
All that was a discussion. That's right.
But ADOS on their website though was promoting authority.
But see,
they want them to have the bill.
The only reason why we're promoting HR 40 is because Sandy Darity, an addendum and an amendment to that bill. We don't need a commission to study anything there. If the commission is done, what it should be doing is how much should be accrued to black people. That's the. We don't have to go study Jim Crow. We don't have to go study the slavery.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
The one that they was the amendment on that bill that they were debating?
No, he wasn't actually at the hearing, but he did provide.
Start the video off.
Yeah, and she said that in the beginning of the video. And in the markup phase, she said, "Yeah, promoted." Sandy Darity has it online. You Google it, he has his whole entire HR 40 there. He's the economist that wrote the article, what we get wrong about the racial
40 acres.
40 acres in the middle of the talking about the 5 states that we want. All I'm trying to see now, nation to action.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about, because I'm almost out of.
Go ahead.
Reparation for African people. Right. So if we understand it as a strategy, that's all it is going to do. Okay. So you organize that piece of it, you laid out, and all those 4 committees, I see these committees, all those 4 reparations is going to do. It's going to take you from one for African people to have an African worldview to rule the world.
And that's what it is. And be a framework for the rest of the diaspora. That's the thing. For the rest of the diaspora. So when Jamaica and all them go to Caribbean, which they already done.
get some of that.
We want Haiti to not still. So we want it to back what it rightfully are. But everybody knows that the United States is not line perfect because everybody else follows. And if we can get that behind, then
You want the resources. All right. The resources.
cut out a check.
Talking about like one, there's different ideas of get. You see what I'm saying? Being resources about. Then once we get these things, no matter whether they're resources or money, and then be mindful to be successful with the use of the job of that. Since we got them.
But I also think that we need economics. We don't economics. So we have to learn group economics. We got to learn economics.
Right. I think we ought to put the ideal of money out of the picture. We are going to get $1 million. Where are you going to spend your million? You're going to give it back.
You make your own stuff.
Well, yeah, that we hope you have.
Saying because they own everything to them, because everything we purchase, they own. So we got to own all. So how do we address?
That's where the supporting the black is to keep our money in our communities recirculating around.
And all to deal with outside energy. So, if we can't do no major business with a Ghana or a Nigeria, do dual citizenships in some of these countries. But if 10 of us was to get reparations or we had money guaranteed coming in with them, so we can start going good. We can have access to other stuff and be able to do stuff. So no, but she told me that ain't no. But that's how I was educated and how I learned. If a business and it's successful, business in my family, and if there's some competition coming up, it's my duty to destroy it. So what she facing, what she dealing with is the actual. Because think about it. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
When they bought that, the city got $30 million. The city bought 800 acres. So that's Poindexter Village. They bought Bolivar Arms and Trevor is Mayfair. When Nelson apartments, you know what I'm talking about?
They bought Mayfair?
They bought 800, a little less than 24,000 square feet. It's like 100 feet. So they bought 800 football fields, basically. So that's, yeah, so, and a lady talked about that at an event, you know that area on Mount across from the plaza, where it's like,
Hello, the Willoughby stuff?
next to the Willoughby stuff, that little open lot, for free. Y'all can start setting up, posting out there. I mean, that could be some time right there. But see, we don't know them just at that event, though, how those bring all this money to the city and building everything up over again. When they did with that $30 million, they bought 800 acres.
Thanks, sis.
Well, opinions, comments.
We got.
We do the here every last Saturday of every single month. Anybody from ADOS, share information or what have you, your own, and do if you need to do a workshop or whatever with your other members, and we plan on joining you and helping.
If anybody knows anybody lives in Mayfair, get Section 8 vouchers too. And so they already bought those. What'd you say?
They're going to flatten them?
But the city already bought them, and they're going to get Section 8 vouchers now. They're going to get them probably in the beginning of the winter time.
Put the trick on. Now talking and talking and talking. And what you're talking about is their future. Where is she?
She was just up at the cookie thing. She's
Emily, something to say.
Emily
I got an announcement too.
gathering her other child. Elder Fadia
And she thought today would be a good day discussion. So the more discussion we have, the better. And thank you, Elder Fadia, for coming up with that idea, Elder Fadia.
Thank you very much. And maybe I get something they
Council meeting.
Okay. Well, tomorrow we have our meeting. It's at 3 o'clock. It's at the White Hall Library. Tomorrow, so that'll be at the end. We're going to be setting up these committees, work groups, and if you want to be a part of one of those work, we're going to be in like either meeting room 3 or 2. I don't know which one it is, but please, if like come out, help us. This is the future right here, and we fight for it. I got the energy. I got the energy.
Conversation more?
10 to 12.
Okay.
10 to 12.
10 to 12, okay.
10 to
Okay.
I have an opportunity for this type of stuff, and you can know about this because I text stuff out. Text G&J to 25J to 25456. Just because, like for the per ounce and for the mall, you get a daily toaster list. Everybody not built for that, I understand. You don't have to worry about the 515. Now, also, we have our first free e-course, ecourse.com. You go there and you can check that out. So,
These children have something to say. Now, I hope they remember what to say. 1, 2, 3, say it. Okay.
All right.
No, what was it?
All right.
And what else are you supposed to hear? One more time. Happy. Happy.
I say.
It's a start to just those few words.
That's great.
And we have. I got too long to articulate for the next one. Okay. So. So, oh wow. Would you do me a favor?
He didn't like what they were doing.
One is like an old.
Back him up, call me, tell me when to pick it up with your mom, if she wants it. Or just tell me when it's ready to go. Yeah, they'll tell you. He thinks I had too much stuff.
I got a clean house. You don't understand. No.
You know, they tell you, look, I'm going to come back on Sunday.
That's right.
Now, what? I'm going to smack you in the nose.
Yes, ma'am.
Your son told you to bring it in? Well, that's good. Just call me that road or pick up. Whenever it's ready, just call me. We can meet somewhere.
But I didn't have to. But I will call you because I'm leaving Tuesday with Ed, and I just want to make sure certain stuff that is gone.
Call me. Act like you, even if you don't pick it up. Wherever you want to do.
And you know. I know. I got to. Because I'm sitting there and I'm finding, and I'm like, I thought I mailed it.
And then when I went and I saw that teacher, okay, I have a Jewish child, I have this, I have I never really did that. I said, I'm a retired kindergarten. But thank you. Did everybody get one?
Babies go first.
Did you want a ribbon in it? You can do it. You can do it yourself.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's why I'm here just trying to do.
What else do you have made out of the evidence? This is made up of okay. You had a nice crowd. And when we celebrate 50 years, 50 years. So before that, it was
It's been passed on, and it's just that old folks ain't got it.
yeah, and we see as opposed to looking for the strategy, then when it came involved to yeah. Okay, here they are. So did you keep
So you go to bar 3? Hi, how you doing? I'm glad it took stuff.
You know, if I would just get up early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Already done. Okay. Like this. Okay. Okay. How do you no, I don't. I just put it in the machine. Okay. This is a good, yeah. And the best I'm saying is sometimes it's only the same both sides. On certain factors, get that. Okay. Because I heard yeah. Okay.
You said what now? You get ready to take that.
You know? Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm like a few hours with my and okay. Where are you from? Originally from okay, but now so like okay.
What did you get today, Alona?
Here we go.
You got your butcher too.
Usual dinner.
The district.
I can't eat it with rice. I can't get it with rice.
Yes, ma'am.
11:30.
No, you can't get one. They supposed to email you your stuff.
And they didn't even bring up about next week. That's what I'm passing out my you want to it's an either or. On the same. No, that's the same time. No. You don't put your hand out. You let your hand out like you.
Oh, okay.
And you had your hand out like you wanted it back.
Yeah.
Oh, they shut me.
Oh, yeah. For the garden.
I'll eat it. Huh? What?
The year 2019.
Oh, I live 20. Well, right on in 2019. You want me to send you one? With two? No, they got the regular one out with all. Not the drum circle. Are we clear on that?
Yeah, I got it.
And none of them are
She
here
had the
today?
year on it yesterday.
Huh?
She had the year on it yesterday. I had to put
Oh, see, that wasn't my job. Saying that Tony West is supposed to be mine. But they never put my name on. People don't. I have a, if they put my name on it, my Oh, hey, excuse me, you may not know this, but men or boys whose mama stopped them, they never been so, that was, you want it, hey, wait a minute, you want it, and I know they respond, they know the tone. Did you get your well, where's yours? Yeah. And see, y'all took my understanding of it is that every time we talk about the government, we don't know who. Oh God, it's 1883. Carter is actually the beginning of that. That's what King George is the Magna Carta. This is a business contract to compensate the reference is a business saying it one way, but what it is a business contract. Businessmen would say we're competent to do that because it has to get the north, which would be the railroad, the property to turn it over to the north. That's when the carpetbagging is on. They call that thing reconstruction, because that's the dividing up the property. So unless you let it, okay, the government can't own the contract unless you're saying communist or socialist government at now, it was a communist or socialist government. I saw you before. You have no idea what I'm talking about. They have no idea what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about? Where is that? To find out when we're going to do it. I'm on the committee. It's the same thing. Fire! Fire! No. No, that's not good. Where you can you set up for that? Oh, you have to work the gyms. That's what I know. That's your son. No, I ain't seen you. But they don't understand what like that and understanding that right, girl, right. No, I would remember now. Up there at which was Navy, but we had Marine Division, and I was a recon Marine, and we used to go big way. This is before Vietnam. And I was too short to that, but I understood. I used to, we used to up there. Oh, have you ever heard one thing about the structure? There's a certain type of style. Oh, that's what I okay, now here's what I'm doing. She busts. She don't Pan-African. You do. And it always comes out. I'm trying to point out. It always comes out. Looking at the grandma. That thing, big difference. If your grandma is not around, you ain't on. So that's your simple five. Exactly. So that's your simple five. And they like, yeah. Do it. But they don't want to. No, they don't want to. Don't not acknowledge. And look at that kind of structure. Every time you tell them the story, they don't realize. Like, wait a minute. No, I'm confronted. Oh, then you got a big land. That happened. But you minutes.